What is up YouTube? My name is Shabazz Dre, and in today's video we will be doing a walkthrough of the machine Blue. Blue is a machine, a retired one on Hack the Box, and it's a Windows based machine, fairly an easy machine that we will be enumerating, exploiting today for you guys. So as you see, it lives on 10.10.10.40. A lot of people say it's a piece of cake. See is let's crack straight into it. Okay, so we will go into our Kali machine. If those of you that are wondering what I'm on, I run VMware Workstation, and I put my I got an installation of Kali Linux from Offensive Security website, threw it in VMware Workstation, and it straight worked. So I'm gonna cd into desktop, my directory, and then I'm gonna conduct. Then I'm going to initialize my VPN connection with Hack the Box servers. So what you need to do is always remember to activate the machine on Hack the Box. Oh, and here we go. It starts working. Now we're going to conduct the Nmap scan. It does not work. Fail to resolve dash BSC. Oops, that is because silly me. Here we go. All right, 14, 18, 22, 25. So like my previous video, as I said, my Nmap scans will be outputted here to the right on my cherry tree. That way it will go under enumeration, Nmap, and then we have the Nmap scan. Now to look at what we have here, we know obviously it's a Windows machine. On port 445 we see the Windows 7 7601 Service Pack 1. We know the PC name is under Harris, so we have a user account name under the name of Harris. Once again, Windows version 6.1, Harris PC. And so what we will be focused on today is, once again, it will be SMB. Today we'll be focusing on SMB. The Nmap scan has given us the Windows version. When we see Windows, we should always remember, especially with Windows 7, we should think of Eternal Blue. Eternal Blue is an exploit that allows cyber threat actors to remotely execute arbitrary code and gain access to a network by sending specially crafted packets. So we see the PC name, Harris PC. We know that the machine on Hack the Box is also named Blue. That's the name of the machine, Blue. Blue, properly, that means it's vulnerable to Eternal Blue, which we just talked about. Sometimes the names on the machine, or the names of the boxes on Hack the Box, will give you a hint related to what you have to enumerate. Prior to proceeding with exploitation with a client, make sure to let them know that you will proceed with this exploit or scanner, as it may break other areas of the network. It's always good and professional of you to ask beforehand so that it can be mitigated prior to happening. You usually do this when you're dealing with a client and you know it's for example vulnerable to Eternal Blue, and you know for a fact that if you run this exploit, then the exploit will probably break their system, their network infrastructure. For that reason, you have to always, prior to exploiting a system, say, hey, listen, we have this situation. This software or system of yours may be vulnerable to Eternal Blue, which is a very well-known vulnerability. But the potential of it breaking other areas of the system can happen. So just be aware of that. Should I proceed, yes or no? And then obviously their system admins or NOC or SOC analysts and their cyber team will say, hey, okay, go ahead. Or they might say, wait for it until we tell you to do it. So it's always good to, take these precautions prior to doing a test. So here we're going to run MSF console. In Metasploit, what we want to do before exploiting a system that we know is potentially vulnerable to Eternal Blue, we want to use a auxiliary scanner that will allow us to conduct the exploit. Okay, So was this 1700? Okay, so let's do that search again. SMB RCE detection, we have on number 2, and yeah, we want to look at the auxiliary. So we have the auxiliary scanners here, and then we have the exploits over here. This is for Windows 8, this is for Windows 7, just a default one. And here we have PSXEC, which is also another SMB remote Windows execution of Eternal Blue. Okay, okay, we want to use one. So we can use one, or we can also copy this and then say use and then paste that, and then that way we can see it. So we want to scan the system if it's vulnerable to see if it's vulnerable to thingy MSF17. So we say set remote host to 40, and then we say the R port is 445. Yes, it's here. And true threads, and we will exploit. Host is likely to be vulnerable to MS17 blah blah blah. And just to let you know how I would take notes of this is I would go here, I would say MSF console, or I would say scan or something. Preferably I should say scan, so scanning for Eternal Blue. MSF console, so I've opened up MSF console, and then from MSF console I looked at the auxiliary here, and then we will copy paste the information here. This is just how I do it, so I remember if down the line I come back to it, or it may be useful for other areas to search it once I index it later onwards on my other note-taking systems. That way it can help me out. So now that we know it's vulnerable to it, it's likely that is vulnerable to MS17010. What we can do is exploit it still using Metasploit. So search MS again 17010. Now we want to exploit it. So let me just go full screen again. We will this time use the not the Windows 8 one, but use 2. Okay, options. Set our host 10.10.10.10.40. It's very easy with this one. But this time we have to also set the L host properly. So if config config 10. So my my local host IP, which is tunneled through the VPN servers of HTB, is this. So set lhost to 10.10.14.49. Oops. The L port can be any port that you want to listen on that is obviously not being used on your system. And we shall exploit. Wait for it. So host is likely vulnerable. Connection established. Metapreter session 1 open. Awesome. This is very awesome. Okay. So this is the Metasploit way of exploiting the machine blue. Sometimes I get confused between who am I and get UID. You know, sometimes I'm working too much on a Linux system and you write who am I, but on a Windows machine, you want to write get UID, anti-authority system. So now I'm #1 boss in this machine, and now we're gonna do the manual way of exploiting this system. Because as I said in the initial video, that we will also try our primary goal here is to do it without the usage of Metasploit. To learn Metasploit is also important in a real life scenario. Metasploit is something you must know, but because of the OSCP, we have no choice but to, you know, not use Metasploit. So let's do the manual way now. What we can also do is this, which I've done above before coming back. I left another scan on, and I'll explain to you how this scan works. Okay, so it's sudo nmap. It's once again, we do nmap default scripts service enumeration, and then we identify the ports. Okay, the ports, we have already done a scan on all the ports, so we don't have to redo a scan on all ports again. That would be pointless because we already have the most important ones here on the right. So this thing right here, so this is script vuln. So this basically means all the scripts that are required to do a vulnerability scan with Nmap. So this will do its own vulnerability scan on the port specified on the left, and it will once again display the service, and it will also enumerate the services using default scripts. So as you see here, it's went ahead and done it, and as we see, it says it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable to remote code execution in Microsoft SMB version 1 servers MS1701. So that's very, very good. So Nmap managed to also give us information on what type of vulnerability this service is vulnerable to. So we will go ahead and exploit that. So what we want to do next is go to our browser. Now that we know the situation, once you've found the correct one, this one, go. We will use git clone to grab it. So how that would work is git clone, and then we copy, boom. That way you'll download it. I've already done it. I'm not going to do it again. And you should have a folder called blue. I will cd into that. Now we have a bunch of stuff in. Next, what we will do is you need to have a tool called impackets installed. Impacket, just Google it. Keep in mind, I'll put all of these in the description below. This one here. Install this properly. Follow the steps. Make sure you have the requirements, and you should be good. Impackets is just a requirement for the running of Eternal Blue machine. Okay, once we have completed installing impackets and downloading AutoBlue, we go to the GitHub page, and it tells us how to use it. So we say, let me just check if I have that file. So it says run Python Eternal Blue, target IP. I have it here. Yes, perfect. Okay, so let's go. So we say Python Eternal. Oh, we should do the checker first, right? So we need to check it first. We're enumerating. Or we exploit, let's enumerate. And then we say .py, and then we say 10.10.40, and then we run it. Testing pipe, blah, blah, blah. Target is not patched. Okay, once again, we've been given results without the usage of Metasploit to tell us that it is target is not patched. Before it said it's likely it's vulnerable. This time it says it's not patched. That means very high chance that it's messed up. Okay, shellcode. So next we go into the shellcode folder. Okay, and on the shellcode we say, since it's a shell file, we say ./shellcode.sh. Okay. Kernel shellcode compile. Would you like to auto generate a reverse shell of MSF Venom? Yes, I would love to. lhost. What's our lhost? It was 10.10.14.49. lport, just I don't know, use 444. 444. Can I use that again? Type 0 to generate an interpreter shell, or 1 to generate a regular command shell. So we can have both, but obviously the abilities of interpreter is much stronger. I want to go with interpreter. Type 0 to generate a stage payload or generate a stageless payload. Go with 0. Okay, perfect. Now told us 10, 10, 14, 49. It's x64. It's made one for x86, so that's 64 bits and 64-bit and 32 bits version of window. Not bits, but bit. Okay, merging shellcode. Woohoo! And go back, and we should have our. Oh, I think. Let me see what I named it. Boom. There we go. So we have both files. So SC86 MSF bin. Okay. So we have it all here. Happy days. So now we're going to run a listener by going back to the main directory. So we go one step back. Good thing about this exploit here that we got from GitHub, it has its own version of a listener. We say listener prep. And I think we run it, or we say we give it the local host IP 44444. I want an interpreter shell. I want it to be a staged payload, and we give it a password. Okay. We now have a multi-handler while it's listening. It's going to be waiting for OAM, and it's already used or unavailable. Fail to bind. Okay, so now I think I should have done a different local host. Sorry, a different port. Because apparently it's been used. It's weird because I have no listening jobs at the moment. Oh, it worked. Did it? Opened. Sessions. Session 1. Oh, okay, UID. Oh, okay, I was confused there for a minute because it gave me some weird errors telling me it's unavailable. Stuff like this happens. And then what we did here was, just to explain, we obviously generated a shellcode. We used AutoBlue's own listener. So it has a listener. We ran the listener. So here we go. We just ran this. It gave us a list of options that we can do. We entered our L host and our L port, and then we said we want it to be Meterpreter because Meterpreter is always more powerful. Remember, you can also do your own manual way of doing it by doing it with Netcat. And then we got a shell, and it ran thingy for us. After that we ran back in the main directory. We ran the exploit for Windows 7. So we have it for Windows 7. We have it for Windows 10, 8. Obviously, for these ones, it's for like much lower versions of Windows 10. It won't work on the latest ones. Once we ran it with so Eternal Blue Python, 10.1040 shellcode, give us the SC all bin that we generated from before. And then it worked, and then Meterpreter gave us back a shell. I said one shell open. I was like, okay, that's strange. And then I checked my sessions by typing in sessions, and then sessions 1 to enter that session for you. And then we are once again in the authority system. So once that's done, good to go. You can get the tag in the desktop of the root user. Obviously, the user.txt is also there. Just remember to, all the exploitation methods you do, you paste it down here that you've received from your terminal. You can copy paste it, take screenshots of it, however you want to do it. For example, we did a Nmap vulnerability scan. I would just take this, copy paste it, put it into the operation section. So I'll do on scan, put down this here, vulnerable to this. Remember, I can always reorganize this even better afterwards. Other things I can do once I'm in the machine is hash dumps. Remember, you can check the root prints to see where does that server talk to, but obviously in this case it doesn't talk to anyone other than itself because it's a HTB machine. You can check the ARP tables once again to check which machines it talks to, netstat to show which ports are opening and which ports it should be talking to. We should always see the ones that we're connected to, and just interpreter and overall in general just gives you an extreme amount of power that can be utilized very, very well. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Give me some feedback and how you would have done it, or this video was useful. Thank you very much. Have a good